19, we left off with finishing up Nicole Kessinger's interview, so now going into part 20. This is going to be Joshua Rosenberg's interview, and he is a friend of Chris and Shanann Watts, and also he is the husband of Cassie Rosenberg. The interview was done on August the 24th, and the synopsis reads, CBI was requested to assist Frederick Police Department in a missing persons case and homicide. Joshua Rosenberg was identified as being a friend of Chris and Shanann Watts. Shanann worked with Cassandra Rosenberg. Joshua and Cassandra live in Arizona, but is moving to Colorado next week. Agent Galbraith interviewed Joshua Rosenberg by phone on 8/24 at 8:47 a.m. See narrative for details of the interview. Witness number 1, Cassandra Rosenberg. Witness number 2, Joshua Rosenberg. Action taken. Agent G interviewed Joshua Rosenberg by phone on 8/24/2018 at 8:47 a.m. Joshua is married to Cassandra Cassie Rosenberg, who was previously interviewed by phone by Agent G on 8/15. Cassie works at LaBelle with Thrive, as did Shanann Watts. This is how the Rosenbergs know the Watts. Josh met Chris in person for the first time in Las Vegas for Thrive in February of 2018. Shanann, Cassie, Chris, and Josh had all communicated with one another prior to this trip to Vegas. When Josh met Chris in person, they hit it off and started talking. They shared similarities and had things in common. They developed a typical guy friendship. Cassie, Josh, and their children stayed at the Watts house at the end of May 2018, as they were considering moving to Colorado and looking for houses and getting to know the area. The four then went on a trip to San Diego in June of 2018 for Thrive. Josh described the relationship with Chris and Shanann as cohesive, normal, and stated they both showed affection for one another. Any moments of disagreement were normal and insignificant. They had the type of relationship that most people want. They were open and honest in their relationship. No relationship problems were ever mentioned by Chris to Josh. Chris recently started working out more and eating healthier. Chris told Josh that Shanann talked to him about his changed eating habits. Josh assured Chris that Cassie talked to him about that when he changed his diet too. He thought that it was within the last month that Chris started changing his diet. He was eating less carbs and eating cleaner. Josh estimated that maybe around May of 2018, Chris started working out and running more. He and Chris would trade running times and encourage one another. Josh noticed in San Diego in June that Chris was working out harder, and there were changes in Chris's physique from it. Josh did not know about any supplements that Chris took, but knew that he used Thrive and said, "We all do." Josh does not know about the finances of Chris and Shanann. Josh never asked Chris, and Chris never divulged anything about his finances. Josh thought it felt like they were a normal family on a normal budget. I asked what Josh knew about Chris's job. Chris worked in the oil field. He monitored and inspected systems pertaining to the oil fields. He believed Chris worked out of the oil field and did not get the impression that he was in an office. Chris had a work truck that he drove from location to location. Chris did not mention having friends at work. Josh last talked to Chris by phone on 8/13/2018. Chris called Josh and told him that he did not know what to do about Shanann and the kids being missing. He told Josh he was lost. Josh encouraged that all anyone could do was make calls and try to figure out what happened. Chris said he felt uneasy, and Josh told Chris, "You know how this looks," alluding to the belief that something had gone wrong involving them. Chris acknowledged that and told Josh that he did not know what to do. He said he felt like everyone was mad at him and he did not know who to call. Chris said he did not know how anyone could think he could do it. Josh told Chris that he needed to do everything he could. This phone call from Chris felt different to Josh that a call from the Chris he knew. Josh felt it was like Chris was looking for information, which was not like him. It did not feel like Chris, and did not seem like Chris wanted Josh to do anything for him, but more like Chris was trying to find out how Cassie and the friends of Shanann felt. Chris did not seem genuine to Josh. Chris told Josh that he just talked to Nicole Atkinson and said that Shanann had gone to a friend's house. He said that he saw Nicole on the doorbell camera at his house. And see, that's one of the videos that we have yet to see, and there's been a lot of question of, why didn't we see Nicole there that day when she was knocking on the door trying to get Shanann to come to the door, as well as even when Officer Coonrod got there and he was knocking on the door. So none of that doorbell footage we've ever seen. It was not released in the Discovery. The only doorbell footage we have is when Shanann got home that morning. Josh texted Chris on 8/14/2018 to ask for updates. Chris replied that police were getting the missing person report ready. Josh knew from Cassie and Shanann that there were changes in Chris over the 4 to 5 weeks prior to Shanann's Arizona trip. There was discussion about divorcing or separating. When Chris was in North Carolina with Shanann and the kids, Shanann had said he was cold, inattentive, and did not show love. It was not the Chris they knew. I asked about Josh knowing of discussion about separation or divorce between Chris and Shanann, and he said that Cassie often FaceTimed him while at the conference, and he often saw the group of girls and chatted with them. On Saturday night, 8/11/2018, Shanann learned of a charge that she was concerned about, given that Chris was supposedly at a Rockies game with friends from work. Shanann was visibly upset and crying when discussing this in Arizona. Shanann said she did not understand what had changed. She said that she loved Chris and did not know why he did not love her. Shanann said that Chris wanted to separate and move on, saying he could not do this anymore. The group, to include Josh, talked to Shanann about her strength and assured her it would not be the end, as she had the kids and a baby on the way. Shanann expressed that she wanted to be strong for her kids and show them that you can get through life, and was positive about it. Shanann wanted to at least try counseling for her kids' sake, even if it did not work between her and Chris. Josh and Chris had texted about the new baby, and Chris seemed excited through text. Josh said he immediately knew something had gone wrong with Shanann and the girls due to the state of the house and his knowledge of Shanann. He knew there was zero chance that Shanann would have left the house like it was and without her phone and medication for the kids. Josh was aware of an argument in North Carolina that Shanann had with Chris's parents about a kid allergy. He is certain she would never left the house without those meds. He said those kids were Shanann's everything, and she would have never done anything to jeopardize her kids. I asked Josh if he has seen anything about Chris's statement to law enforcement, and Josh heard that Chris claimed Shanann killed the kids. Josh told me that the Chris he knew would not have done any of this to begin with. The eyes Josh sees on Chris on TV are not the same. They lack sincerity and soul. So many people has brought that up about the way his eyes looked, and I agree. They just look so empty and so cold, and at times it almost appears there's not even a pupil there. It's just so odd. His eyes do look so distant, like he's not even there. He's answering questions, obviously lying, but he's not even there. Josh thinks that someone gave this scenario to Chris as his only shot to possibly avoid a death penalty. Josh suggested Chris is trying to figure out this lie he has created. Josh said that there is no possible scenario for Chris's statement to be accurate, and even if he had told Shanann he wanted a divorce and was cheating on her, Josh insisted that Shanann would never have done anything to her kids. She would choose her kids over Chris 100 times out of 100 if she would had to. Josh thinks Chris is saying this in an effort to figure out how to cope with what he did. I asked Josh if there was any indication that Chris may have been cheating on Shanann, and Josh said he does not believe that Chris would have had an affair on Shanann, and he believes that anyone can change their mind on things at any point, and such is simply human nature. He asked that Chris possibly changed his mind and decided against a relationship with Shanann, but would have told Shanann before seeking out another woman. Josh still feels this way about Chris. Josh told me he felt that there are two Chris's, the Chris that he knew and the Chris that he's now seeing in the media. I asked Josh if he thinks there is anyone else who could have done this. There is no one else who could have done this in Josh's opinion, and Josh shared a scenario that he thinks could have happened. Shanann came home. Shanann and Chris talked. Chris told her that he was done. Shanann got emotional and cried, and Chris tried to leave. Shanann tried to stop him. An accident happened and then spiraled out of control. There was a commotion that woke the kids. Chris was someone else at this point. Chris had to eliminate the kids as they were witnesses. And ironically enough, Josh's scenario here is quite a few other people's scenario. Many people believe that these very steps are actually what took place. I mean, that is what many people believe as well. And the thing is we'll probably never know. This is basically sort of in a way the way Chris explained it himself in a prison interview. Josh said that this is the only logical explanation, as there is no possible way Shanann could have laid a hand on her kids. Shanann lived and worked to make her family's life better as a whole. Shanann had said that if he wants to leave, that was fine. She did not want to give up and would try canceling. It was just not logical for Josh to believe that Shanann could have done anything to her children, as Chris had stated. And I completely agree with Josh. I don't believe that. That's just craziness. I mean, I don't even know how anybody could believe that Shanann done anything to her kids. I mean, it's so obvious that Chris totally picked that whole scenario and story up because Tammy offered it to him. I mean, that's just way too obvious. Because if you will remember, in the actual interview, they questioned Chris several times. Did Shanann do anything to the kids? Did Shanann do it? And he's like, no, God, no, we love our kids. So originally, he was like, no way. I mean, how can you even think Shanann done anything to our kids? Both loved our kids unconditionally, So he even Chris thought that was crazy to even suggest such a thing. But then when Tammy threw it out there again, and then Tammy or Coder, I can't remember which, was saying, Chris, are you trying to protect her? Are you trying to cover it up? That completely ran with it. I asked Josh if he had considered that Chris planned anything like this, and Josh said that Chris is a very smart guy, and if he planned it out, he would have not gotten caught. Very interesting answer there, Josh. And I agree to a point. I mean, there's so many things that point to this was very premeditated, even down to the note that Chris wrote, as well as, I don't know, there's several other things that lead you to believe that it was completely premeditated and it was planned out for a while. At the same time, it was so messy and so terribly done, and I mean, there was no way he wouldn't have got caught the way it was done. But there again, there is the actual clause to that scenario, and that would be her plane was delayed. So see, had her plane not been delayed, everything, if it was premeditated, that was planned beforehand, may have actually panned out the way it should have. Now, this is if it's premeditated, and I'm not saying it was. I'm saying that it sure appeared to be that way, due to many different things. However, Then you got the other side that you can look at it and you can be like, no, I don't think it was premeditated. So the premeditation thing in my mind is such a flip-flop. I mean, I see all these reasons why, and I'll tell myself, yep, that's it. It was absolutely premeditated. But then I'll go look at something else, and not necessarily the bad, messy crime scene and everything. Not necessarily that. There's even other things that I'll be like, well, no, it couldn't be premeditated because of this. And then I'll go back again and, oh yeah, it definitely was. So the premeditation in my mind is such a flip-flop. I can't, even in Shirley Cadle's book, where she said that Chris himself wrote her a letter saying, that, yeah, I had planned it out for a while, and I knew when I put my babies to bed it would be the last time. Even with that, there's still so much that, yes it was, no it wasn't, yes it was, no it wasn't, and it's just, will we ever know? I doubt it. I asked if it was possible that Chris had not considered that Shanann's friend would have been actively looking for her Monday morning, and Josh felt like Chris would have planned for that, and he had considered that thought about or planned for more than 2 hours before he did it. Josh feels like Chris did not plan it and that it was in the heat of the moment. Chris knew his truck had GPS in it, and he told Josh about it and did not use it for personal things. Chris knew that Shanann was attached to her phone and that she is the type who responds immediately to text, and see, those are things that you also have to take into consideration. Chris knew the GPS on his truck was definitely going to be tracking his every move, so that makes you wonder, is that why he went ahead and brought him to the work site? Because he would have an excuse, well, yeah, I was going to work, that's why my GPS showed my work. At the same time, about her phone, yeah, Chris was well aware. He even said it himself. When they went in his house and they were doing the search, he's like, oh yeah, this phone's her life. She does nothing without this phone. Her phone was turned off. It had been shut down, and he didn't know the code to get in it, so he couldn't have actually took her phone and threw out some fake text to her friend, maybe like he had planned to do, who knows, but he couldn't do that because he didn't know the code to get in it. She had changed it. So, there again, there's like, what, and then Cassie knew the code, and then when it was booted up, nobody had touched it since Shanann. And I think if it's a possibility that it was premeditated, I think Chris did get her phone, and he was going to try to actually, get in it and start texting her friends or do a Facebook post or whatever. But when he learned that he couldn't get in her phone because he didn't know the code, he was like, oh, hell, too late now, what's he gonna do? He just shuts the phone down, right? That's all he could do. At the same time, I'm shocked that he actually hid the phone at the house. It looks to me like he would have just taken the phone with him and disposed of it somewhere or something, because obviously he's well aware that GPS tracking his own phone, even if it's turned off, you can still track an iPhone. Believe me, I know I've done it. So it looks like he would have disposed of that phone somewhere other than his own living room. I don't know. It's so many questions. I asked about Josh's knowledge of Chris's mental health, and Josh had no concerns. He did not know Chris to see counselors or take medications for mental health matters. Josh described Chris as pretty calm and level-headed. He was not the type to get angry or upset. He was frustrated by normal things, such as the gym being too crowded, as it was in San Diego, but it was nothing out of the ordinary to Josh. So see, that's really the first person we've ever heard say that Chris even showed any sign of frustration. Well, with Chris being the kind of introvert he is, and he is an introverted person. We all know that. Everybody that spoke of him has said that, at the very least. And introverted people, a lot of the time, they are socially awkward as well, and even have social anxiety. So, that could have been the issue with Chris, and when the gym was overcrowded, it probably made him feel very uncomfortable, and he just was frustrated and didn't even want to be there, and that's quite likely. But that is the first time, to my knowledge, I can really hear or think about, besides, Mr. and Miss Rusek and Shanann's brother, when they were explaining how he was acting different, the week he was there. But other than that, other people, I think this is the first time we've heard anybody say anything out of line about his character being anything other than just great, awesome, perfect husband, father kind of thing, So yeah, that's interesting to know. Because of the overcrowding, he was frustrated. And of course, Josh didn't find that to be anything, abnormal. We kind of do, because we always have heard he's just never frustrated, mad, angry, even happy or sad. It's just weird. But yeah, so that kind of gives us an idea that to think maybe he was, had social anxiety or something, or being introverted. I still feel like, sociopath. I still have that in my heart of hearts. It's just like he fits all of the traits of that. Now, of course, obviously, I can't diagnose, and I can't sit out here and say, this is what is going on with him, because, of course, I don't have the qualifications to do that. I don't have the credentials to diagnose someone, especially someone I've never even saw in real life, in person to person, face to face. But take it from the news interviews and his interviews and from what everybody says about him, I just feel like sociopath. I mean, when you go and you look at the traits of sociopath, they really tend to fit his description pretty well. I asked about the trip to Colorado in May, in which Josh and his family stayed with the Watts. They arrived on a Monday morning, and Chris was already at work. They hung out with Shanann and the kids. Chris got home maybe around 1,600 hours, and that is going to be between 3 and 4 p.m. He said he parked his truck along the street, and the truck stayed there. His work truck is a pickup, and it is maroon or brown in color. There was stuff in the back. Chris never parked the truck in the driveway when Josh was there. Josh did not see Chris come from or go to the truck for work or over the weekend. Josh was inside each time. I asked about Shanann's mental health, and Josh described her as being a normal woman emotionally. She was loving, open, good, kind, transparent, a giver, a great host, passionate, even keel, extraordinary, loved to make people happy, would not get mad, tried to work problems out, not over-exaggerated, no drama. Josh thought Shanann took medication for lupus and fibromyalgia. Josh knew that Shanann had been in a bad relationship with an ex-husband in the past. Things stuck with her and shaped her into being the loving person she was. Josh wanted to reiterate that those close to Chris and Shanann, as he and Cassie were, and knew who Chris and Shanann were, know that Shanann would not have left her things at the house the way it was, or ever put a hand on her kids, even in her worst moment. She was kind, loving, open, and even going through the pain of starting over without Chris, she was still focused on being a better example for her kids. He does not know how anyone could see otherwise. Josh believes that Chris killed the kids too. He thinks something went wrong and spiraled out of control, and he was now lying because he cannot deal with what he did. Cassie came to the phone to provide that she and Josh are moving to Colorado next week and provided their new address. Cassie also wanted to make sure investigators know that there was an Amazon Alexa in the Watts' house, and that may have recorded something to aid in the investigation. I assured her that was known and thanked her and encouraged her to reach out with other thoughts or information that may come to her. The interview was concluded at 10 a.m. Josh forwarded screenshots of his text with Chris for the investigation. Review of the text between Josh Rosenberg and Chris Watts. 5:29, 15:42 hours, and that is 4:42 p.m. Arizona time, Josh texts Chris that the application was it. He then congratulated Chris for something, and Chris replied, "Thanks, man." He said that he has to make sure she does not do too much and lift anything. They then discussed the application process and how long it takes. On 6/17 at 7:23 a.m. Arizona time, Chris wishes Josh a happy Father's Day, and Josh replies the same. 6:22 and 6:23, it appears that Josh and Chris are in a hotel, and Shanann is with Cassie and are chatting about planning and getting food. 6:23, 7:50 a.m. Chris says Shanann will divorce him if he gets food without her, and he would end up like the homeless guy yelling at himself on the street. 6:24, they chat about the weather and the heat. July the 6th, they joke about Josh applying for a job. And July the 6th again at 6:48 a.m. Arizona time, Josh asked Chris how the bachelor life was, and Chris replied in 1 minute that he was working out a lot, picking up weekend shifts. He said it was going by fast so far. And here you will see the actual text of the screenshot, and it says, and I'm assuming that, yeah, Josh is going to be in the blue and Chris is going to be in the gray. And Josh says, "I'm ready just in case I get an interview." And Chris laughs and says, "That might be how some people get hired here." And Josh says, "Hey, I do a lot for the well-being of my family, LOL. And Chris says, "Hell yeah, man, LOL. And Josh says, "How's the bachelor life?" And Chris says, "Working out a lot, picking up the weekend shifts, and it's going by pretty fast so far." And Josh says, "Awesome." And Chris shows a little emoji of a guy lifting weights. July the 6th, 6:50 a.m. Arizona time. Josh asks if he feels weird being in the house alone. 7:16 a.m. Chris replies that he was trying to eat a little cleaner with no kids around. He said, "It's a little weird, but I've been keeping busy." And here is the actual text. And of course he's been keeping busy. Very busy, actually. But Chris is going to be in the gray. Josh is going to be in the blue. Josh says, "Hell yeah, this Beachbody thing is nuts. I'm picking up extra work as well. I put in a few more apps. Feel weird being in the house alone? Question mark." And here you will see that Josh sent Chris a photo of his dash of his car, it looks like, and it looks like he's probably just showing him what the temperature is. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm assuming since they were talking about the weather earlier. And then August the 8th, 7:52 a.m. And this is the day Chris and Shanann, this is actually the day Chris went back to work when they got back from Arizona. And Josh asked Chris if he was excited about the ultrasound. At 9:12 a.m., Chris replied that today was the day, 7 p.m., and that he was excited. Chris said he was secretly hoping it was a boy, and Chris replied, "LOL. Me too." Also, August the 8th, 11:44 a.m., Chris texted about eating cleaner, and Shanann giving him the 3rd degree for him refusing to eat a few things. He said he can see his abs again and is working hard to get cut. He said that combining Thrive and eating lean meat is making a big difference. Chris texted that he had come to realize that abs are made in the kitchen. And here is a screenshot of those actual texts, and Chris in the gray, Josh in the blue. Chris says, "That's awesome, dude. You still doing the Beachbody program?" I've been eating a lot cleaner, and Shanann's giving me the 3rd degree because I've declined to eat a few things, but it's whatever. I can see my abs again. At least the first 4, haha. The lower abs are hard to get cut, but I'm working on it. Combine Thrive with eating lean meats, and it's a big difference. Josh says, "Nope, the only exercise I've been getting is work and softball, LOL. Abs are the hardest, period, because that's where everything sits the most. The only way to get abs is to eat clean." Chris says, "Abs are made in the kitchen. I've come to realize that." And Josh says, "Yes, sir. I have some amazing recipes for clean food." August the 8th, 20:02 hours, and that is 8:02 p.m. Josh texts about waiting patiently, and Chris tells him that the envelope is sealed until next weekend. Josh asks if they are going to do a reveal, and Chris replies, "Yes, sir." August the 10th, 6:51 a.m. Josh texts to congratulate Chris. "Congratulations, buddy. Little man is a lucky boy." And Chris replied, "Thanks, man." On 8/11 at 21:04 hours, and that would be 9:04 p.m., 8/11, Chris would have been with Nicole at this time. I'm assuming at Lazy Dog, because when they left Lazy Dog, it was said that they went straight back to her house until he left at 10:30. Josh texts Chris asking if he is still awake. Chris immediately replies that he is headed home from a Rockies game. Josh asks him to let him know when he is not driving because he has a question. And this is a screenshot of that text. Chris in gray, Josh in blue. Chris's LOL envelope is sealed until next weekend. Josh replies, "You going to do a reveal?" "Yes, sir." "Congrats, buddy. Little man is a lucky boy." "Thanks, man." "Hey, bro, I know it's late, but are you still awake?" Chris, "Headed home from Rocky's game." Josh, "Oh, nice. Drive safe. When you aren't driving, let me know. I have a question." Chris, Sunday, August the 12th, 7:08 a.m. "What's up, bro?" "Sorry, I passed out once I got home." August the 12th, 7:09. Chris replied, "What's up, bro? Sorry I passed out once I got home." Josh replied to ask to make sure Chris was okay with his family being at his house if need be. Chris replied that it was cool. Chris asked when Josh thought his family would be moving to Colorado for a job. Josh took with True Value, estimated 1 month. Chris texted that the Rockies game was very crazy and gave some scoring info. Josh said he saw on ESPN and had only been to 2 moments like that. Chris replied, "It was epic." And again, here is the screenshot of that, and Josh is in blue, Chris is in gray. 7:21 a.m. "I really appreciate it." Josh, "I'm pumped for the move. Would have liked to have the job with you, but True Value has a lot of room for growth." Chris, "Yeah, that's awesome, man. When do you think you will be making the move up here?" Josh, "I'm taking an educated guess at 1 month, give or take a little." Chris, "Copy that. The Rockies game was crazy. Down 2-0, bottom ninth, and get a 3-run walk-off." Josh, "I saw the highlights on ESPN. What a great moment to be at. I've only been to 2 moments like that." Chris, "It was epic." 8:13, 11:16 a.m. Josh texts to ask if Chris had heard from Shanann today because Cassie and Nikki could not get a hold of her. Chris replied that he had just talked to Nikki. Chris texts that Shanann went to a friend's house with the kids and he had not heard from her since, but would keep him updated. August the 14th, 5:59 a.m. Josh texted for any word and asked how Chris was doing. Chris replied that there was no word at all. The cops were getting the missing persons report ready. Chris said he was homesick to his stomach. And here is the screenshot to that text. Chris, "I just talked to Nikki. Shanann went to a friend's house with the kids today. I haven't heard from her since. I will keep you updated, though." Josh, "Okay, the girls are worried." Chris, "I know. I just saw Nikki on the doorbell camera." Josh, August the 14th. "Any word? How are you doing?" Chris, "No word at all, man. I know the cops are getting the missing person report ready. I'm at home sick to my stomach." Josh, "No luck on calls to hospitals or hotels and things? Let me know if you need any help." Chris, "Hospitals had nothing. Every hotel I could think of, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate it." And then it says the attachments are 23 screenshots for text communication between Josh and Chris. Okay, moving on down. investigative supplement report dated September the 7th. Description: Charlotte Nelson's interview. Friend of Nicole Kessinger. Synopsis: Agent G spoke with Charlotte Nelson by phone on 9/6. See narrative for details. Nelson is a friend of Nicole Kessinger. Subject: Charlotte Nelson. See, it really doesn't have her as a witness on this part. Now, in Nicole's interview, it did have her down as a witness. Synopsis: On September the 5th, 2018, I was asked to assist by speaking with Charlotte Nelson. Nelson is a friend of Nicole Kessinger, and the two exchanged text messages about the relationship between Kessinger and Chris Watts. I was provided a packet of text messages, which I was advised was that of Shanann Watts. Action taken. Agent G subsequently reviewed the content. The records are somewhat confusing, as some of the correspondence is clearly with 720 number, but other times it is with a different number. However, the content appears to indicate that the person is the same as the one communicating from the 720 number. Based upon the conversation flow, the 720 number is the number of Charlotte Nelson. The texting is on August the 12th. I am not certain of the time zone in which the records are formatted. Some of the content is undecipherable. Based upon the numbers, it is difficult to say for sure if the texts are from Nikki or Charlotte, but the content leads to context and the author. Okay, now, before we get into this, I'm sure a lot of you have already read these texts or saw them around. However, being that I am sitting in the room with my grandchildren, some of them I will not read aloud. I refuse to. So if you have your earbuds in and you're not actually looking and you want to see these, then, I suggest coming and looking at it and reading the ones I will read with me. But some of them I'm going to refuse to read out loud, okay? Okay. Nikki on 8/12 at 10:51 a.m. Been kind of hanging out with the guy recently. Keeping it a secret. Never met a man who does it till now. I just let it happen. LOL. Charlotte, 8/12, 10:56 a.m. Where did you meet this man? So, I guess this is on 8/12. This is in the morning. This is around the time that Nicole said she was at a museum with her dad and stepmom, just doing family things together. But during the time she's just doing family things together with her dad and stepmom, she's also texting her best friend Charlotte this. Go figure. I don't know. Nikki, I don't know, man. Sean, never. Charlotte, 8/12, 11:17 a.m. I don't think it's you, man. Some guys are lame with stuff like that. Nikki, 11:17 a.m. Feel like every dude I meet has kids these days. And if they don't, they have commitment issues or some bullshit like Sean. Commitment issues like Sean. So I guess he was married too. It's also been said that Sean actually made the comment that he actually dodged a huge bullet by getting away from Nicole. I don't know how true that is. I've never actually saw that myself, but I've heard it from way more than one person. So, you can take it like it is. But Sean obviously had commitment issues, which leads me to think he either had a fiance, a very close girlfriend, or most likely a wife. Charlotte, 8/12, 1:09 p.m. What's the dude's name? Kids are cute. It's a package deal, though. Charlotte, 8/12, 13:21 hours. And that would be 1:21 p.m. That's awesome, Ming. Nikki, 1:22 p.m. The fact he takes care of his kids is a good thing, I think. Nikki immediately texts back, he's all about his kids. Charlotte, 13:25, and that's 1:25 p.m. That's cool. How old are they? Charlotte, 1:45 p.m. How old is she? Nikki, 33, I think. Nikki, I just feel like I will always be second place. Like, he's been there and done that. It's early, though, so we will see. He is very kind to me, though. Nikki. And he works out, so he's super sexy. Nikki. Don't tell nobody. I haven't made up my mind on him yet. Nikki. Like, he seems too good to be true. Nikki. Haha, yeah. It's the best I've ever had. I'm hooked. Nikki. I think he really likes me. Yeah, I think you really like him too, Nikki. But at the same time, where is Charlotte? I mean, obviously she's talking back to you, but it's just a bunch of you there, so who knows? On September the 6th at 15:59 hours, and that would be 3:59 p.m., I received a call from Charlotte Nelson. I had left Nelson a message on 9/5 and texted her on 9/6 prior to her call to me. Nelson met Kessinger in high school. They were not as close then as they are now. Nelson moved to Aruba and moved back around 2006, and she and Kessinger got in contact. Kessinger is Nelson's best friend. They text a lot, but do not see each other, but maybe once every month or two. Nelson knew why I was contacting. I asked how this case is setting with her, and she told me it is a horrible situation, and it is very unsettling. She is worried about Kessinger. Nelson said that Kessinger got caught up with the wrong person at the wrong time, and it is just devastating. I asked if Nelson knew that Kessinger had been dating Chris Watts. Nelson explained that Kessinger was working as a contract worker for Anadarko. Kessinger had also told Nelson that she was seeing a guy at work at some point. Kessinger did not say who, and Nelson never met him. Nelson saw news about this case and asked that the guy worked at Anadarko, and Nelson wondered if Kessinger knew the guy. Kessinger then called Nelson and let her know that the media may try to get in contact with her about this case. Nelson said that Kessinger said she could not discuss much about the case with her. Nelson told me that her father died a couple of weeks ago, and she had been drinking a lot to deal with things right now. Nelson said that she looked back and Kessinger had sent her a photo of Kessinger and the guy she was seeing. Nelson agreed to go back through her text messages and screenshot the communication she has with Kessinger. Kessinger has told Nelson that the guy she was seeing had a couple of kids. Nelson knew Kessinger to like kids, and she seemed in favor of it. Kessinger said he was a really nice guy, and she did not seem to mind that he had kids. Nelson said that she did not say much, as she tends to let people live their lives. Nelson did not think it was smart of Kessinger to date someone she worked with, since she liked her job there, but Nelson did not tell Kessinger that. I asked if Kessinger spoke of the guy's marital status to Nelson. Kessinger did not at the time, but Kessinger has since told Nelson that the guy had told Kessinger that he was separated from his wife. Kessinger did not provide Nelson details of the relationship as to where they spent time, when they spent time, how they spent time, or if they were intimate. Say she's lying, obviously, because of the text we just read above. I mean, that's pretty intimate, right? So, there you go. I mean, Charlotte is obviously lying. She said that she did not know, and she did not ask. Nelson said Kessinger just got out of a relationship, and Nelson just lets her tell her what she wants to share. Nelson described Kessinger as private. I told Nelson that I had some content from text messages between her and Kessinger. I read the one about it being the best sex ever, and Kessinger has ever had, and the one about the oral sex. Nelson reminded me that her dad died, and she had been drinking heavily. Oh, well, she's using drinking as an excuse as not remembering conversations, even though she was fully involved in them. But it does look like that a lot of whatever she said back was deleted, because it looks like Nikki was talking to herself for the most part. I don't know. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. She told me that she actually barely remembers the text with Kessinger. Nelson told me that Kessinger dates a lot, and in the past, she has not had the best of luck in men she has dated, so Nelson typically does not ask about details. Well, in my own little world, in my own little mind, I think maybe the reason she doesn't have the best of luck with men possibly is because, and it does say she dates a lot, and this is her best friend, so she would know that, but is it maybe because, you don't have a lot of luck dating married men? I mean, is that possibly the situation? Because, they did mention that Sean, her ex, had commitment issues. I believe he was probably married too, or fixing to get married or something along those lines. He was obviously committed to someone else, and he refused, probably, and I don't know this, but probably he refused to leave them for her. I don't know. Maybe she was just his side chick too. I don't know. And she got very attached to him, and he just wouldn't throw everything he had away for her. Who knows? I read the following text to Nelson. Nikki, 8/12. I feel like every dude I meet has kids these days, and if they don't, they have commitment issues, or some bullshit like Sean. I asked Nelson for some context to that text, as it seems that a man with kids may be a negative thing based on the words in the text alone. Nelson says that she does not think that Kessinger was against him having kids, and Kessinger wants kids too. Well, no, she doesn't. she had done said she didn't want to have any kids because partly in reason to her religion. The guy of religion, they just, they don't want to have kids, or they want to adopt kids. However, Nicole had told Chris that she did want to give him his first son. Now that is known. She did say that. She has just had bad luck with men in her past. Kessinger wants to find someone, and when she does, it turns out to be the guy is lying or something. Kessinger seems to take it upon herself and feel like she is picking the wrong guys. Well, she obviously is. Nelson encourages Kessinger that she will find someone. Nelson does not think the quote-unquote BS part in the text was meant as a negative, in that Kessinger felt the guy having kids was negative. Nelson did not think that Kessinger actually met the guy's kids. She has no idea when or where Kessinger and the guy hung out together. Nelson figured that it was working out. She would hear more about the guy from Kessinger. Kessinger did not tell Nelson anything about the guy's wife in their text. I asked how Kessinger is doing, and Nelson told me that she is a mess. She says she cannot say much about the case. Nelson thinks Kessinger feels partly responsible, as maybe he went crazy because Kessinger came into the picture. Kessinger liked the guy. Nicole thinks Kessinger needs a good therapist. Well, I couldn't agree more. I asked if there is any indication that Kessinger may want to maintain a relationship with the guy. Nelson said that Kessinger wants to cooperate in the fullest to make sure he stays in jail. I thanked Nelson for her time, and she agreed to send me screenshots of her text with Kessinger. Nelson promptly got back with me on 9/6 to provide. Hi, Agent G. This is Charlotte Nelson. I'm looking through my phone, and the latest text messages I have from Nikki start on August the 21st. And we mostly talk about my dad passing away and my family issues, and also that she is concerned with the media. I probably deleted the whole conversation when Nikki asked me to delete pictures we have together on Facebook because the media was calling her friends to get information. Well, see, that is not true, because the media did not even know Nikki's name or know anything about her until she came forward herself. Now, I'm not going to say anything about quote-unquote her. It had already kind of leaked out there that, he may have had a mistress, I believe. But her name was never, ever leaked to the media until she herself came forward and did an interview with the Denver Post. And I have that interview on our channel here if you want to go see that, but that was on November the 15th. So, it was a complete lie when she told her friend that the media was contacting her friends, because there's no way. It's not even possible they did not even know her name until she came forward and gave them her name. The very first time her name was ever in the media. Do a fact check, November the 15th, and it came from her own mouth. She walked in to the Denver Post. The Denver Post came to her attorney's office and sat down and interviewed her. Yes. Now, she could have told her to delete all the pictures she had of her on Facebook because she was planning to go to the media, and she knew when her name got out there that they would be looking her up all over Facebook and this, that, and the other. But that's not what they said. That's not what Charlotte said here. She said that Nikki asked her to delete the pictures on Facebook because the media was already calling her friends to get information. Not true. I know about the text messages we talked about because yesterday evening I got your voicemail, and when Nikki came over later that night, I told her you had called and that I wanted to verify that it was actually the CBI calling me and not a scammer trying to get information. I asked her why you would be calling me, and she said it could be because of the text we exchanged, and then she showed me. I'm sorry I don't have any messages before that. Would you like me to still send you everything starting August the 21st? Also, I left you a voicemail regarding a question I have. My question is, if the text messages you have are going to be made public matter. I shared very personal information about mine and my boyfriend's intimate life, and I'm concerned about what will be released. Please let me know or call me for any more questions. I responded, stand by on text from the 21st. Let me consult my partner. Thank you for getting back on the matter. On September the 7th, 2018, I attempted to clarify this with Nelson. I asked her why you would be calling me, and she said it could be because of the text we exchanged, and then she showed me. I texted Nelson and called her. The phone went straight to voicemail like it was off. On September the 7th, Nelson responded. She showed me the old text messages on her phone the night before last, September the 5th, when she was here at my house. We had went to Verizon earlier on that same day so she could get a new phone, since the one she had wasn't working well. It must be that the messages were backed up and transferred over to the new phone. Frederick Police Department Detective Baumover is in possession of the phone of Cassinger, and potentially the text will exist in it upon execution of a search warrant. Attachments. Text message packet provided for review. Okay, we're going to stop right here, and when we get into part 21, we will be going over the supplemental report of August the 27th. The description is the crime scene photographs. And that is what we'll be getting into in part 21. I hope you learned something new from this. I know several of you, this is going to be the first time you've ever actually heard Charlotte's interview. I'm sorry I couldn't read some of the parts of it. I hope you understand. And if you learned anything, or give us a thumbs up, we really would appreciate it. And until next time, this is UnJustified.